Well, I think that these are going to have a significant impact on the operations of corporations and corporate governance and the like. I think most people who practice in my area think that in the last couple of years there's been a decrease in classic audit committee financial fraud investigations. I don't know if it's because of the success of Sarbanes-Oxley or why it is exactly, but I think there's been a decrease. Now the whistleblower provisions of Dodd-Frank are giving corporate employees a financial incentive to report to the SEC, and really in some cases to the SEC before doing it through an internal compliance program, allegations of wrongdoing. And I really think what's going to end up happening is that the SEC runs some risk of being flooded with these types of allegations. And after Madoff, you know, the SEC is not going to be able to ignore any one of these because they will never know which one is going to be the next Madoff. So I think two things are going to happen. I think they're going to have to start putting a lot of resources into these investigations. But the second thing I also think is going to happen is, as to a category of these, the SEC, I think, is going to be forced to refer them back to the audit committees of companies, for the audit committees to do investigations and then report back to the SEC on what they found. I think otherwise it would be very difficult for the SEC to deal with what I anticipate will be a significant volume. You know, fortunately, I think that the atmosphere has gotten better and frankly has gotten better and better over the years. Really the first industry that dealt with this was the defense industry, which was subject to significant criminal and False Claims Act litigation in the 80s. And those institutions, the Lockheed Martins and Boeings and all of them, put enormous resources into compliance programs. And in my view, have been very successful as a result of it. And I think that we're now seeing it more and more in the financial services area. And there will continue to be an accent in that area. And I really think that we're in an area where companies simply have to focus on these issues. There are too many reputational and financial and frankly distraction consequences of failing to attend to this really significant area. If you think about all these issues, what you want to do, and the purpose of a compliance program, is to avoid prospective problems. I mean, it typically, if it's good and robust, will also, if something does happen, a rogue employee brings some sort of problem to the company, it can also affect sentencing and resolution by the SEC or the Department of Justice. But really the goal of those programs is to ensure that problems don't happen and that issues are brought to the attention of management early before it becomes a big problem. And either through the compliance program, or I'm a very firm believer in the role and the function of internal audit in this process. And so my sense is that those areas continue to need support from the board. There should certainly be direct reporting by internal audit to the audit committee and not have to filter their reports through management, because in fact internal audit is essentially monitoring and reviewing what management is doing. And the compliance program director, whoever heads up that program, should also have a direct line to the audit committee, I believe, to make sure that the company knows and the employees know that these are valued functions by the company and the company expects these to work effectively, and for the employees to know that if they bring problems to the attention of either internal audit or to compliance, that the company will treat them seriously and will be in a position to respect their concerns.